Hello, friends. Recently, someone asked, in the context of a class we were giving, how can I reclaim or re-energize the joy that I felt in starting in on the spiritual path, the kind of natural enthusiasm that I felt in my own experience? And it's a profound question. And we gave a few answers in the class, but also suggested that this is a real essay question. I mean, we could have spent the whole class just answering that question. And I thought it's worthy of a video or maybe several, but I thought to share a few thoughts, some of which we may have shared in the class. But if we think of at the beginning of the spiritual journey, often people will kind of like a human romance, they'll have the divine, they will get a taste of the divine romance. They will feel this overwhelming love, overwhelming joy, grace that just seems to animate and motivate their entire lives, inform their whole experience. And then it goes away for some reason, perhaps for no reason at all, seemingly. It just, stops at one point or another, or dissipates gradually. And one of the thoughts that I shared is that we have to differentiate between the innocence of a child and in the joy of their childhood, because life is very simple for that child. The joy of getting up in the morning, the enthusiasm of greeting the day and launching into fresh experiences and opportunities to grow. It's like it's all new. It's all joyful and fresh. And the child grows older and challenges appear, and the child goes through adolescence and puberty and grows into an adult and begins to take on the challenges of life in the world. Well, now, where has the innocence, where has possibly the naivete of a child, where has that gone? Has it disappeared altogether? It may have. But it's also the natural evolution of our human experience. Now, differentiate that with the experience or the image of a saint. And the saint is also very simple, and they are also very innocent, or perhaps we mistake their innocence we mistake their focus, their level of one-pointed simplicity and clarity of focus for innocence or naivete. But it's a very different level. The child is innocent because the child hasn't the human experience, at least in this lifetime. I mean, in other lifetimes, yes, but in terms of the present reality, you think of a child growing up in a loving family, in a perhaps a beautiful neighborhood, or with lots of other little friends to run around and play with. There's nothing not to be innocently loving about or joyful about. But they haven't been exposed to the broader, the pains of life, the difficulties, the challenges, the losses of life. I mean, they may, the child loses a loved toy, or a pet dies or something. I mean, even as a little child, there can be loss. But generally speaking, within a day or two, it's gone. Even within a few minutes, it can be gone, because they're just very much in the moment. The saint is also very much in the moment. But the saint has that clarity, that focus, not because they haven't experienced all of the pains and challenges and difficulties of life, but because they have. They've actually overcome all of that, and they know that life is for God. They know that life is about having that clear focus, and they cannot be distracted from it. They have this kind of, it's almost like, I use the image, stainless steel cable. It's like they have this core that's just made out of carbon stainless steel, the kind of cables that hold up the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, yes, they do flex, but by golly, they're strong. And the bridge can be in howling winds and, swaying back and forth. And those cables do flex and they do stretch a little bit, but boy, they are really, really strong. And so, yes, the saint can be moved a bit by human experience, but it doesn't affect that powerful, powerful center within, because they've learned to look beyond the drama. They've learned to relate to all the outward circumstances of life from the inside first as their primary reality. And so their innocence has become based on focus and clarity. And so that's a beginning answer to the question, how do we reclaim that joy of the beginning of the path? Let me just conclude by saying that joy comes to us for a reason. In the same way that the joy, the love of romance comes to us in the beginning of a significant relationship. It comes to encourage us. It comes to us to open our hearts and show us a higher dimension of life. In the case of the spiritual path, it comes to show us, yes, go for it. You can do it. It's possible. Give yourself into this flow. Does it mean that if it goes away, we've done something wrong? No, it just means that we're growing into the process. We're growing into the dedication that's required to really achieve that simplicity and innocence of the saint at the end of the journey, which is never ending, really. The saint is always on the journey. We may think, oh, well, now they're a saint, they've reached the end of the trail. No, the trail keeps on going because there's always more to explore. There's always more to achieve, and there's always more love to flow through our hearts. So this is a beginning answer. We may give more answers as time goes by, but it's a lovely question, and I hope that is a helpful beginning to the answer. Namaste.